Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over part 10 to one of the ongoing soap operas of this channel, which is titled, Husband Tricks Wife into Writing Confession About Affair with a Coworker, then Throws Her Out in Tears. And since many of you guys are so invested in this, I'm not going to do a big recap because you all know what's going on. If you're new to this channel, you found this video by accident, go back to part 1 and watch them all, and then you'll catch up with the rest of us here in part 10. So I'm going to pick up exactly where this guy's starting off in this update here. He says, hello SSM. Thank you again for running my previous post. Your advice and the advice of the people who commented have been tremendously helpful to Jim, Beth, and me. Well, that's why we're here. It's been a few weeks since the last post, and there's new stuff to talk about, so I thought people might find an additional update interesting. Well, when it comes to human beings, there's always something to talk about. There's always something new. And of course, we like to hear updates. I'm not going to do a recap, but just remind people where we left off last time. Nico, yes, the mysterious Nico. Nico and his daughter are gone. I haven't heard from him. As far as I know, no one has heard from Nico. That's because Nico is very good at staying hidden. I don't know where they are or who might have helped them. His wife Jessica was admitted to the psych floor at our local hospital. Well, let's hope she stays there. She's since been moved to a psychiatric hospital about an hour out of town, a more permanent facility. According to my wife, Linda's Instagram DMs with Jim's wife Carol, when they visited her, Jessica is a zombie who barely recognized them. Well, she's a wacko, but they also probably have her on so many different drugs, she probably doesn't know what's going on. Could have happened to a nicer girl. Linda, my wife, had me arrested after surprising me on my front porch. Angie, my attorney and friend, came to get me out of jail in the middle of the night. I was berated repeatedly in the comments for not having cameras around my home or recording the interaction with Linda on my phone. Yeah, he was. My only defense is that I hadn't seen her talk to Linda in over 6 weeks at that point. I did expect her to show up at my house, but I should have realized that Linda would take some drastic action once it became clear that we were divorcing. There would be no forgive and forget. Yeah, I mean, I guess some guys just don't want to think that their wives or girlfriends would do something like that, but you can't rule out anything, I mean, especially after everything that's happened so far. At this juncture, there should be cameras everywhere, and I'd be walking around with a phone in my hand ready to record. And when Angie told Linda's attorney that Linda would not get any alimony for any of my assets, I have cameras now in the front and back, and inside. They're motion activated, but I don't think I'll need them now. I don't expect Linda to show up again. You'll see why later in this post. You can't, when somebody's thinking emotionally and all ration and logic has gone out the door, then they're going to act impulsive and be erratic and unpredictable. So when you say, I don't think it's going to happen, well, you have to anticipate regardless. At the Friday support session, I realized that my two friends are fellow betrayed spouses. Jim and Beth were hooking up. Yeah, we all saw that coming a mile away. They're irritated with me for not believing them when they say their relationship is purely platonic. Their relationship has evolved some since the last post, but I'm not sure it's evolved in the right direction. So to begin, I was arrested on Friday and Angie got me out of jail at night. The following Tuesday, Angie asked me about the arrest and next steps. The news wasn't great. Angie started by explaining why I was arrested. Linda was in my house yelling and screaming when I got home. One of my neighbors called the police. Linda told the cops I beat her up some weeks earlier and threw her out. She also told them that she was afraid I was going to hit her again as the police arrived and they arrested me. And who do you think the neighbors are going to believe? I mean, really? Angie explained the police policy. She told me she's just explaining the police, not defending it. If the police believe there's a potential for harm, the police don't want to leave without making sure everyone's safe. If there's a restraining order, if there's a clear evidence of harm, they'll arrest right away. If there isn't clear evidence, they'll listen to the parties. If one of them says they're afraid or feels threatened, they are obliged to separate the two parties. Yeah, and let's all remember, they didn't arrest her. They arrested this guy. Unless one is trespassing, they can't just order either of the two parties to leave. Even if one of them agrees to leave, the cops can't be sure they won't come back and continue where they left off, unless they make an arrest. Okay, arrest her. I asked if they ever arrest the woman. Angie said if they arrived and found me on the ground with several stab wounds and Linda standing over me with a bloody knife, they'd probably arrest Linda. Probably. Honest to God. But in these cases, it's almost always with a woman who says she's threatened by the man. Men don't like to say they're afraid of their wives, so they arrest the man. In my case, the police checked Linda's ID, her driver's license had my address as her home, and she's not legally trespassing. They couldn't tell me to leave for the same reason. Linda was the first one to tell them that she felt threatened, so they arrested me. So it's a race to say who feels threatened. Is that how this plays out? Is that how this works? Usually, unless there's a restraining order or there's evidence of harm, the arrestee is kept overnight and let go the next morning. Oh, okay, that's wonderful. I can spend the night in jail at the local sheriff's office with Lord knows who else is in the freaking cell with me, probably checking out my parts. Oh, okay, but as long as you let me go the next morning, no problem. Usually the accuser says they won't testify and the charges are dropped. If the accuser decides they want to press charges, the DA's office investigates to see if there's any history of current evidence of violence. If they cannot find evidence to bring to trial, they tell the complainant that there's not enough proof to get a guilty verdict and they're dropping the charges, and that's usually it. Again, still the guys to go through all this bullshit. And you continue that this sort of thing happens a lot in divorce cases. The wife believes that having her husband arrested will help her with the divorce. Look what she has had to put up with from her despicable husband. She deserves more in the divorce, and in this case, Linda told the police to arrest me. She filed the police report on Monday. She claimed in the report that I've hurt her in the past and was threatening to do it again when the cops came. Despicable. And I might add, she knows all the wrong she's done to this guy, but she's doing this anyway. She didn't report the prior incidents because she was afraid of what I would do. Angie said Linda's not dropping this. The DA's office is forced to investigate. Angie asked me if they will find anything. No, Angie, my lawyer. They won't find anything unless it's planted there. I told her that Beth beat up Linda when Beth and her brother found Linda and Beth's husband Fred in a motel room. Beth then forced Fred to confess their affair to me. Linda wrote her confession for me, and I threw her out that following Sunday. I believe she went to stay with her parents. Beth beat Linda up pretty bad, and Linda wasn't in great shape when I threw her out, but didn't touch her. So in other words, she can just say to her parents, he did that to me. I never raised a hand to Linda. Angie asked what Linda's parents will say. Will they confirm that she told them that I did it when she arrived at their house? And I said, I do not know. They might think it will help Linda. So Angie asked, they might testify that Linda told them it was me who hit her before I threw her out, even though they knew it wasn't me, and I replied that they might. Well, all it takes is a 1% chance for them to say that, so you got to be on your guard. Will Beth come forward and say that she's the one who beat up Linda? Yeah, but that can put Beth in hot water. I said she would if she thought that I was in trouble for something she did, but I don't want to involve Beth. We have to figure out a way to get out of this without bringing in Beth. Angie said it doesn't really matter what Beth did. Linda was with me until Sunday writing her confession. Linda could claim that I added to what Beth did to her before I threw her out. I asked Angie if I need a criminal defense lawyer, and she said maybe. Oh, great. If I want one, she could recommend a good one, but her advice is to wait. It's still early. Let's see how things play out. Okay, fine. I'll sleep so well, just hanging on this and all. The DA may still drop the charges, but I should understand the charges are serious. People commented that I should get a criminal defense attorney and not use Angie, a family law attorney. I don't know any criminal defense attorneys. I know Angie. I don't know of any other attorney who would come and get me out of jail in the middle of the night. Angie did. Angie's been my friend for years and has always been there for me. She's always given me great advice. I'm sticking with her until she tells me I may need someone else. I agree with that. She's been loyal to you, but if you get in such hot water that you need, absolutely, this is going to go into the criminal area, then you need someone who specializes in criminal defense. I mean, this is your life, dude. Angie says the case is waiting to be assigned to an assistant district attorney. She has a good friend, a woman she went to law school with, who is an assistant DA, and she's already talked to her. Angie's friend can ask for the case, but it doesn't mean she will or that she'll get it, and if she does ask for it. Let's see who the case is finally assigned to. Angie asked if Linda and Carol are still talking on Linda's hidden Instagram account. I told her I don't know. I haven't looked in a while. Angie said to start looking, see if Linda says anything about the arrest and the divorce. I did when I got home. They're still talking on Instagram, but there was nothing since my arrest the previous Friday. Yes, because remember, he still has access. She doesn't know that he knows. She has a secret Instagram account that she talks to all her girlfriends about their indiscretions. So maybe she might blab about this whole setup thing. Beth, Jim, and I skipped our support meeting this week, so we didn't meet until the next Sunday. Beth and Jim were irritated that I didn't believe what they had to say, that they weren't involved sexually. They were hanging out together, but no actual SCX, so they can't be charged with infidelity in a divorce. Jim said neither of their spouses can prove Jim and Beth haven't intercourse because they haven't. Doesn't mean they weren't making out on the couch or giving each other massages or other things. Just because there wasn't penetration doesn't mean that other things weren't going on here. Beth turned to Jim and said that they should cool off for a while. Jim was taken aback and asked Beth what she meant. Beth said they should remain just friends for now. Their kids head off, so let's have play dates, and they were good, and Jim should bring his son to support meetings to hang out with Beth's kids. But nothing more until the divorces are done. Okay, good idea. Jim was visibly upset. Smack! For God's sakes, Jim. She's just some ass. You can wait till your divorce and you can go back to it. She's not rejecting you to be a jerk. It's just a bad idea, you two being involved and fooling around until the divorces go through. He got up and yelled at his son, upstairs playing, to get his stuff together and come down. They're leaving. Beth got up, put her hand on Jim's chest, and asked if they could talk before he leaves. Jim thought a moment and told his son, come down the stairs to go back and play. I asked if they wanted to be alone and talk. I could leave. Beth said they'll talk outside. When they came back in, Jim still didn't look happy, but they both sat down. Beth looked at me and said, no more talk about their relationships. Jim and Beth will be friends without benefits until they're divorced. Too risky to get more involved now for their divorces and their children. Get more involved, so you're admitting you were involved. This is why nobody believed that they weren't hooking up or something going on. Jim said it was Beth's call. He'll go along with whatever Beth wants. We sat down to dinner and started our support group. Beth went first. Where was she in her divorce? How did the custody hearing that she had go? Beth said Fred's lawyer told the judge that Fred did not father her kids. That Beth admitted that in a text Beth sent Fred. Fred should not be required to provide child support for children who are not his. Since Beth is an adulterer, he should not be required to provide alimony. This is Fred, the husband that's cheating with Linda, right? Beth can have full custody of the children since they aren't Fred's. Fred doesn't want anything to do with any of them. Newsflash, those kids are Fred's kids. Remember, this Beth chick made a joke that they weren't his kids, and the guy's using that. Beth's lawyer told the judge the children were Fred's. The text message was a joke. If the judge wanted to order a paternity test, Beth is more than willing. The result of the hearing was the judge ordered paternity test, gave custody to Beth, and ordered Fred to pay alimony and child support. Well, there you go. They are his kids, after all. They would revisit alimony and child support if the paternity test showed Fred is not the father. Beth said the court-supervised DNA tests were scheduled for the coming week. Oh, okay, my bad. They still have to do the tests. Well, they are his kids. So good news for Beth. Beth said she's worried that Fred's employer will find out he's sleeping with Linda, my wife, and Fred's coworker, and fire Fred. If Fred's fired, he won't have to pay any money to help support her and the kids. I said much of my divorce will center around Linda's affair with Fred. We'll need to bring up their affair to help prove Linda's infidelity. Oh God, this soap opera. We're just getting started, guys. She said I should do what I need to do to get my divorces done. She also needs to show Fred was unfaithful with Linda for her divorce. If that meant Fred is fired, so be it. That's not why she brought up Fred losing his job. She's tired of relying on Fred for anything. She's looking for a job herself. The kids are in school, her parents can help with the kids while she's at work, and she's bored sitting at home. Well, why the hell isn't she working? She should have a job, let alone a career. I asked what kind of job, and she said her degree in accounting, so she's looking to be a bookkeeper or an accounting position. Okay, there you go. No reason she should be sitting at home alone. Get a fucking job. Re-embark your career. That's what she was doing before her children arrived. I told her our company needs to hire someone in accounting. Greg, my partner, friend, and Angie's husband, manages back office hiring for our company. I gave Beth Greg's contact info and told her I'll talk to Greg about it. To jump ahead a little bit, we hired Beth. I see her at work every day now. Cool. That's good. Keep her busy. keep her from getting into trouble. And she should, at this point in her life, be working. She's always a pleasure to be around, and Greg said she's doing a great job. And the DNA test proved Fred is the father. Shocker. Will Beth's employment affect her alimony or child support? Her lawyer tells Beth it probably will not. The judge had already ordered alimony and child support before Greg hired her. Unlikely the judge will revisit these orders since the judge knows Fred is the father. But even if being employed affects her alimony, Beth says she'd rather be working. Exactly. Can't just sit on your ass the rest of your life when the kids are away. Jim went next. How is his relationship with his son going? You remember that Jim found out he's not the boy's biological father. Jim said they're both in therapy. He still gets triggered, but he's working on that, and he's getting better. He and his son will get through this and be better off with his wife Carol without his wife Carol around. Jim said he couldn't be prouder of how his son is handling all this, and Carol finally got a lawyer, and they responded in the divorce settlement Carol was served with. Carol says since she was a stay-at-home mom who devoted all her time to taking care of her family, she has no money. She wants alimony, custody of the boy, and child support. Basically, Carol is arguing that she is entitled to the lifestyle she had when she and Jim were still together. But Carol's the one that ruined the marriage. Angie, also Jim's attorney, is telling them no alimony. Jim gets custody, so no child support. If Carol wants the lifestyle she had when they were together, she should get a job. An idea that apparently has never occurred to Carol. She's probably like, moi, work? Angie tells Jim that if it comes down to that does come down to the judge they get. Jim said he doesn't want to give Carol anything, but what's most important is that he keeps custody of the boy. The rest he can deal with. Is Jim still in contact with Carol? She calls and makes demands about the kids and money. She sees the boy occasionally, but otherwise, Jim doesn't engage with her. But he's worried about what a judge might do. Well, he has reason to worry because you just never know what kind of judge you're going to get, what the judge is, what the judge's political leanings are, all sorts of things. If the judge woke up and had a bad night's sleep and he's just cranky or she's cranky, wants to give this guy a hard time, you just never know. My turn. I told Jim and Beth and Linda that Linda had me arrested. They were both shocked. I explained what happened. Linda is saying that I beat her up, not Beth at the motel. Beth said she'll immediately go to the police or DA and let them know it was her. Who's ever seen the case? Who should she talk to? I thanked Beth but told her I don't want her involved. Let Angie deal with it. Beth has children and is in the process of divorcing her a-hole husband. She should stay out of it. She says she doesn't want me to be prosecuted for something that she did. I said it's the early days. Let us see what happens. I just wanted to move the conversation away from this. It's not going to let Beth get involved. I told them that Linda's visit and her having me arrested was provoked by Angie telling her attorney that Linda will get nothing out of the divorce. No alimony, and the only assets that she brought to the marriage, some savings and her car. We want a divorce that returns both of us to where we were financially before we got married. But my arrest will complicate going forward, as well as getting that outcome. We ate dinner and joked around. Even Jim came out of his funk and began to enjoy himself. We scheduled our next support meeting for next Friday. Jim stayed to talk to Beth, but I went home. Thankfully, my loyal wife Linda was not there to greet me. Thank God for that, but at least you have all the cameras up. It was still early, so I opened Linda's laptop and went to her hidden Instagram account to look at her DMs with Carol, and I found a gold mine. Perfect. You need to find a gold mine, and hopefully she blabs about what she's been doing that can help clear you of any kind of prosecution you may have. So guys, that is where I'm going to wrap things up for this part 10. So I will continue on in a couple hours of part 11 as things are really getting deep with more of the drama going on with these interesting people. So I will see you then.